Hare Krishna and welcome everyone to our weekly session on Sri Upanishad. We'll be accelerating the speed as you will have noticed. Yes, last session we covered two verses, and this session we intend to cover three verses. And not that we'll be cutting corners, but we'll be moving a little fast as we'll probably need to cover the Upanishad, the rest of the verses in next couple of sessions. This plus couple of more sessions maybe as and then onwards probably I'll get engaged in some other services. So not too many classes left of Ishopanishad. So I'll request everyone to join as many as them as possible, and wherever there are opportunities, do participate in group discussion. We want to hear what you have understood. All of you would have gone through Bhagavad Gita classes. We started this discussion this Sunday 11 a.m. class back in July 2020. And since then, this has been going on. We started with Bhagavad Gita verse by verse. We concluded Bhagavad Gita. And then we started with the nectar of instruction. And now we are discussing the Ishopanishad. And we'll about to close Ishopanishad, the 18 verses in about next couple of sessions. So request all of you to please attend all rest of the sessions so you understand this otherwise very complex book with the help of purport from Srila Prabhupada, explanation given by many senior devotees, which we try and compile and present to you in a hopefully easy to understand way so that we can make sense out of this otherwise complex scripture issue. Let's move on. We have seen will not spend much time on the overview of Ishopanishad. The first three verses, invocation till third verse, the instruction is to live in harmony with Ishvara. The next section, the mantra 4 to 8, it teaches us how to develop spiritual vision to understand Ishvara. If we have to follow somebody's instructions, we need to know that person properly. And to know Ishvara is possible only by when we develop spiritual vision. And so the mantra 4 to 8 facilitated us for that. 9 to 11, this section we concluded in our last Sunday, teach us about right and wrong vidya and avidya. Those are the two terminologies used in these three mantras. And we saw vidya, avidya in each of these mantras meant different, had a different meaning. So not that everything is same. Words are carriers of meaning, but the meaning can change according to as per the context. According to the context in which that particular word is used, the meaning can change. And hence, it is not very easy to interpret scriptures on our own unless we are hearing in the parampara which starts from Brahmaji and comes down to Srila Prabhupada. And then Prabhupada has written everything down for our benefit so that we can read, try and understand it, and then put that into practice in the practical application. Mantra 12 to 14, this section of again another set of three verses. The construct is very similar to what we saw 9 to 11. 12 to 14 is exactly similar structure, but here the instructions are about upasana, and we will find out just in a short while what that means. The last section, mantra 15 to 18, are prayers offered to Ishvara to reveal himself. And very beautiful prayers which we'll go through, and very nectarian prayers that are offered. In a very beautiful way that we are praying to Ishvara to reveal himself to us so that we can love him, we can go closer to him. So we have again a longish session. In between, we will have a couple of opportunities for group discussion. So my request to all is basically to quickly raise hands and do participate. We want to hear more from you, but we also need to cover a lot of slides as well. So So we'll hopefully do justice to the time and not stretch it beyond 1 o'clock, but it might go till 1 o'clock very easily. So without wasting further time, let's jump right into the verse 12. Andham tamaha pravashyanti ye ye sambhutim upasate tato bhuya ivo te तमो य उ संभुत्याम रताः अंधम तमः प्रविशन्ति ये असंभूतिम उपासते असंभूतिम उपासते. So the word vidya and avidya uh, that were used in the verse 9, 11, 9, 10 and 11, the vidya avidya is now replaced by sambhuti and asambhuti. So what is spoken here is the andham tamah pravishyanti, that those engage in the worship of demigods. Asambhuti, we will find out what its literal meaning is. But Prabhupada has, in the translation, Prabhupada is writing that those who are engaged in the worship of demigods enter into the darkest region of ignorance. Now, one is demigod worship. And what is the parallels? Second is, and still more so do the worshippers of the impersonal absolute. So, if you remember the ninth verse we discussed, where Avidya and Vidya were discussed, and then it was mentioned that if you um, if you follow Avidya, you will go to the dark ignorance, darkest region of ignorance, and if you if you follow Vidya, and you will go to the even more darker region of ignorance. And which was a little surprising, and we initially were very confused. But Vidya is generally considered to be good. So here also the similar construct of verse is there, that asambhuti is equivalent of like our avidya in the ninth verse. Asambhuti, अगर कोई असंभूति फॉलो करता है तो दे गो टू द डार्केस्ट रीजन ऑफ इग्नोरेंस. एंड संभूति, अगर कोई संभूति जो फॉलो करते हैं, दे इवन गो टू द इवन डार्कर रीजन. And what is the Sambhuti is absolute, the demigod worshippers versus impersonal absolute truth, the worshippers of impersonal absolute truth. In the verse 13 talks about Anya Devahu Sambhavad Anyad Ahur Sambhavad इति शुश्रुम धोराणाम न तस न येन येनस्तद विचिचक्षरे येनस्तद विचिचक्षरे. It is said that one result is obtained by worshipping the supreme cause of all causes, and that another result is obtained by worshipping what is not supreme. All this is heard from undisturbed authorities who clearly explained it. So this verse predominantly tells us that one result is, if you follow one path, you get one result. If you follow another path, you may get another result. This is clear. This is the confusion about it. Now, and then the word used was asambhuti and sambhuti. We'll find out what asambhuti and sambhuti means in this particular verse 13. Moving on to verse 14, speak about sambhutim cha vinasham cha yastad vede ubhayam saha vinashena mrityum tirkham sambhutyam amrutam ashnate sambhutyam amrutam ashnate vinashena mrityum tirkham sambhutyam amrutam ashnate. That sambhutim cha vinasham cha, sambhuti and vinash. Asambhuti is replaced by vinash, the word vinash, which carries the equivalent meaning, something that is perishable. So sambhutim cha vinasham cha yastad vede ubhayam veda ubhayam saha yastad veda ubhayam saha. What does it mean? The translation: one should know perfectly the personality of Godhead Sri Krishna and his transcendental name, form, qualities, and pastimes, as well as the temporary material creation with its temporary demigods, men and animal. When one knows these, he surpasses death and the empirical cosmic manifestation with it. And in the eternal kingdom of God, he enjoy his eternal life of bliss and knowledge. So a lot of said here. So longish kind of a translation. The one should know perfectly the personality of Godhead Sri Krishna and his transcendental name, form, qualities, and pastimes, as well as the temporary material manifestation with its temporary demigod, men, and animals. So those two things, Vinash and Sambhuti, the mantra recommends that one should know perfectly both the things. Which are those two things? One should know about the personality of Godhead, his transcendental name, form, qualities, and pastimes. One should know about Krishna. One should know about performance of bhakti yoga and performance of devotional service. So this is Sambhuti. And what is Vinasha? And one should also know the temporary demigod material. One should have knowledge about the temporary material creation with its temporary demigods and animal and men. So one who knows both is able to amrutham ashnute, that is able to enjoy eternal life of bliss and knowledge in the kingdom of God. So let's take a look at what does this words being the Asambhuti and Sambhuti. Asambhuti is used as Vinash in the 14th verse. So let's see. So in the 12th mantra, Asambhuti means demigod worship, and Sambhuti means the worship of the absolute truth as impersonal absolute truth, worship of impersonal absolute truth. And it says that both of these worshippers go to the darkest region of ignorance. That is mentioned in the verse mantra 12. So the Asambhuti, the demigod worshippers goes to the darker region, and worshippers of the absolute truth go even to the darkest region. So it's a lose-lose proposition. Those, the mantra 12, who are covered in mantra 12, both of them go to the darkest region of ignorance. Come to mantra 13. Then again, the construct is same. The both both the impersonal worshippers and demigod worshippers are clubbed together as a sambhuti, worshippers of anything else other than supreme personality of Godhead. They both are not attracted to or worshipping the supreme personality of Godhead. Both may not have any knowledge about it or may not have any attraction towards worshipping Krishna. Uh, so both of them are clubbed together in mantra 13 as a sambhuti, that worshippers of anything, anyone else other than Supreme Personality of Godhead is called a sambhuti. And those worshippers of Supreme Personality of Godhead are called sambhuti. And this mantra speaks that one result is obtained by worshipping this sambhuti, and another type of result is obtained by worshipping sambhuti. So clearly, the instruction by contrast, do this, this will happen. Do this, this will happen. Now, based on your intelligence, you choose what is best for you. Come to mantra 14. 14 mantra talks about, in the mantra 14, the word used is vinasha. That knowledge, that vinasha word is used to know as for to show the knowledge, to reflect the knowledge of the material world in the service of Krishna. Knowledge of the material world in the service of Krishna is covered as Vinasha in the mantra 14. Mantra 14, again, the Sambhuti meanings remain the same, the worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, while discussing these three mantras, we'll have to continue to remember the relevant meanings of the word Sambhuti or Vinasha and Sambhuti as the case might be. Prabhupada writes in the purport to mantra 12, the Sanskrit word Asambhuti refers to those who have no independent existence, versus Sambhuti Sambhuti is the absolute personality of Godhead who is obviously independent of everything. So, in principle, the word Asambhuti means anything that has no independent existence. So, now that will include everything other than Supreme Personality of Godhead, who alone has independent existence, who existed when nothing existed, and from whom everything has begun. So, other than Lord Sri Krishna, everything else gets covered by Asambhuti. Prabhupada gives example in the Bhagavad Gita 10.2, the absolute personality of Godhead. Sri Krishna states, neither the host of demigods nor the great sages know my origin or opulence. For in every respect, I am the source of both the demigods as well as the sages. Thus, Krishna is the origin of the powers delegated to demigods and the great sages and mystics. Although they are endowed with great powers, their powers are limited, and thus it is very difficult for them to know how Krishna himself appears by his own internal potency in the form of a man. So nobody can know Krishna. Demigods may have many superior powers than common people may have. But still, with those, despite of those powers, they cannot understand Krishna. Rishis, they have so much superior knowledge than what common people and even devatas possess. But even with that knowledge, also they cannot understand Krishna. Because primary reason is both demigods and rishis are under the control of three modes of material nature. And Krishna is above these modes and law of nature. Hence, the demigods Rishi can know and remember Krishna only to the extent Krishna allows them to know him. And no, so dadami buddhi yogam tvam yena mamupayantite, that demigods or rishis or anyone might know Krishna a little bit, only to the extent Krishna allows himself, he reveals himself to that individual by our own effort, by our own intelligence, by our own vision. We cannot understand Krishna. Nothing, no chance. Nobody has ever could understood Krishna unless Krishna has allowed himself to be understood. He has revealed himself to the person. Only in those situations he has been understood even little bit. Yesterday's Bhagavatam class in the second canto, chapter 6, Purusha Sukta prayers, uh, we heard Brahmaji mentioning to Narad Muni. And at the beginning of the chapter says that Narad Muni is inquiring with his father, Brahmaji, that you are almost like a supreme personality of Godhead. You have created everything. Nobody existed before you. And it seems you are only the supreme personality of Godhead. Is it true? Is it true that you have no other dependence? You are completely independent. You appears to be the supreme personality of Godhead. Can you reveal? And then Brahmaji is revealing his heart. He's saying, whatever I'm doing is a very small fraction of powers that are possessed by my boss. My boss is my creator, from whom I have been created, from whom I have been born. I have been born from Lord Krishna ultimately, and everything is possible because of him. And I am able to do whatever I have done only because he allowed me to do it based on the powers that he has delegated to me. And otherwise, nothing independently, I have no power, I have no independence. And that's what Brahmaji mentions. So let's hear a story. Let's hear a story. We picked it up from the Bible. It's a story of a prodigal son. Prodigal meaning Ayashi. Ayash prince मतलब son of king. And Ayash जो बहुत wasteful, extravagant खर्चे करता है. So the story goes in the Bible that there is a son, the younger son. Um, he he didn't have very I mean, he was not liking his father. He and his father didn't had a very good relationship, and then so he wanted to enjoy independently of his father. So what he does, he asks for his fortune. The father is king. King has a lot of opulence, lot of बहुत पैसे थे. So the son easiest way of becoming rich is to ask for your share of your wealth, his wealth from his father. So father was kind enough to give him that share of his wealth, and then he goes away from father. This his son, the son go away from father and leaves father's kingdom. He said, "I don't want to see your face." He developed certain enmity towards his own father. And he's very angry with him. He doesn't want to see his face. He said, we have nothing to do with each other. Give me my share of for this fortune, money, and I will get lost. I will go away from you. I don't want to see your face. And I don't want to show my face to you as well. And father feels extremely bad, but father honors his request. Father gives him his fortune, whatever was there, his share of money, he gives it to that son, and son goes away. He leaves the kingdom. Now, son go away, start living independently, trying to enjoy, and soon, very soon, he, because of his nature, he soon spent everything that he got from his father. Whatever money, whatever wealth, opulence that came from his father, he squanders everything. He just udow everything, and now he is penniless. He become prodigal. He becomes basically he becomes uh, penniless, and then now destitute, pure penniless. So now what do you do? He doesn't. He's left the kingdom of his palace, father's kingdom. So he doesn't want to go there. He has no desire to go there, and he wants to still have so many desires to enjoy independently. So what does he do? He starts serving. He starts working for a master who pay him, who make him work extremely hard and pay him very little. बहुत काम करवाता है एंड बहुत गंदी तरह से काम करवाता है, एक्सप्लॉइट करता है उसको, और बहुत थोड़ा सा पैसा देता है. नाउ हियर it's a very cruel master, make him work hard, pay very little just for his survival. Now here father is worried. Father is worried about his son. Father knows, the king knows that the son has this enmity towards him. So even if he goes and try and approach his son will not, his hurt, he will not agree to come back. So father says, me going has no meaning. Me going there has no meaning. So uh, father is, but father is also not willing to sit idle and keep waiting for his son to return. कि ऐसा नहीं कि धक्के खाएगा दुनिया के, and he will suffer. Eventually he will realize कि I have a father, let me go to him, and I will, hopefully he will welcome me. Now father is eagerly waiting for the return of his son, but father just don't wait for his son to come back. Father know that he himself cannot go, but he sends his minister to the son. As he says, you go to him. He's serving somewhere, and you go find out his whereabouts and ask him to return to the kingdom, start working for you. Don't tell him that you work for me, but you engage him somehow in your service and pay him more than whatever he is getting at that, whatever, wherever he is working. So let's hear it more attentively. We'll have a question answer based on the story. So please attentively hear. So uh, now the father has not gone, or the king has not gone, but king's minister has come to the prince, and he's saying, "Oh, you're working very hard. Why don't you come and start working for me?" And son is anyway suffering. Son is miserable. there, and he sees, look at this as an opportunity. All of us who are working, they can familiarize. This is a very familiar experience. Someday some call come from recruitment company or some company tell us what you're doing, or you have right experience, you have right knowledge, and you seems to be working very hard. Why don't you come and start working for us? Instead of, we'll pay you whatever 20% more than what you are getting, 30% more, plus we will give you holidays, Saturday, Sunday, so that you can attend Saturday Sangha in Juhu temple and attend online Bhagavad Gita class on Zoom, and do your sadhana nicely, read Bhagavatam, spend the whole 2 days of in a week for your devotional activities, catching up on all the devotional activities that you have missed during the week. But during those 5 days, you try and work hard. So the prince becomes very happy. The prince may not even know that this man actually works for somebody else, and that somebody else is nothing but my father's. The prince may not even know that. So prince now come back and start working for the minister. Now, prince has returned to the kingdom, but prince has not yet returned to the king or the father. But the prince is now within the boundaries of his kingdom, of the father's kingdom. And the king is now started serving his new master, the minister. Eventually, prince realizes that this minister is also not the ultimate head. He is also serving somebody. And then he inquires and find out that he is serving king. Now, he still doesn't know that this king was his own father. And so eventually, he find out, the king approached him and then say that you're working for that man. Why don't you come and start working for me? But the prince says, now, prince understand that aspect, that if I have to change my job, I have to get more than what I'm currently getting. There has to be some incentive for me to change my job. Otherwise, why will I change? So he then asks the king that I will not just come. I will tell me how much you will pay. Then king says, you are my son. You whatever is there is all yours. The whole palace is yours. But why you want money? But then he said, no, you tell me how much you will pay. And then father says, okay, whatever you want, you tell me what you want and I will pay you that. So, so the prince now goes to the king and starts serving him, not out of love, not out of affection, not out of his attachment, not out of knowledge that he's my father, this is my my duty is to serve him, but for the higher pay raise that he's going to get from his father or his king. So he's serving his father for in exchange for the money, in exchange for the better pay that he's getting from his father. This goes on for some time, and then because of this connection, because of the association and the rendering of service by prince to his father, the dormant love, natural love for his father arouses. And then, one day the prince asked his father, Father, can I come home? Can I come home? Will you accept me? I've done many wrong things. I'm realizing it all now, but will you accept me if I come back to you? And then father openly, with both arms, welcomes his son with love, affection, and accept him. He said, I've been waiting for this day all this along. Ever since you have left, I've been waiting for this day to come, and I'm so happy that you understood and that you have accepted me wholeheartedly. And then the prince returns to the palace, not only for what he's getting, for the pay raise that he's getting, for extra money that he was getting from his father, no, for loving and serving his father. He the returns to the father. Now, the question is very quickly raise hands. How we can relate this story with demigod worship, if at all we can relate. Just Vikas Prabhuji, I'm waiting for somebody else to raise hand. Jamuna Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Prabhuji, I think praying to demigod means, see, we may get whatever we are expecting from by praying to demigods, but the ultimate source is from the Supreme Personality only. He is the
Okay.
provider. He gives it through these people because we are believing that they are going to give us. So we think that way and we pray. This is my thinking,
Okay.
Prabhu.
Thank you
Hare
so much. Hare Krishna.
Krishna.
Angaraj Prabhuji, Sulekha Mataji, Anuradha Mataji. Very quick comments.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Sadvat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, in this story, the prince was serving under the minister. We can relate this minister to the demigod because ultimately the power was delegated by the king. So he was working under the king. So instead of working under the minister, we can directly work under the king because after working under the king, he can identify that the king was very caring, loving, and very affectionate. Or in this way, he could get the feeling of love and devotion while working under the king. So true nature of king, he could identify only working under the king. Why? Before that, he was working under the minister and some cruel masters. Until then, he could not feel these things. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare
Dandavat
Krishna.
Pranam.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Sulekha Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. My answer also same. Working under the minister means we can say praying to demigod.
Okay. Can you can identify the characters? Haresh Prabhuji. The who is who? The prince. Who is prince? Who we can relate prince with? Who we can relate cruel master with? Who we can relate minister? And who is the king? These characters, and on the other hand, how we can identify them?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes,
I see this whole story is very well like all human beings who are uh, fallen into the prey of enjoying this life and splurging the uh, uh, money or whatever they have resources, and they are going wayward. So the king is like Lord Krishna, and the minister is like all demigods, and God is allowing the human beings to enjoy. At the same time, he is keeping a watch because he has love for his children. And then when it comes to that realization of the persons in this world, when they come back and then they are realizing that they have wasted their life, and they start looking for survival, that is the time Lord Krishna is sending the demigods to the survival of the human beings. And then when he realizes that even demigods are serving to Lord Krishna, that is when Lord Krishna के शरण में आता है वो, और वो Lord is embracing him like his son, and he is taking him back into his godhead. This is the whole way I look at it, the whole story.
Okay. Thank you so much for identifying all the characters. So Bhagesh Mataji, we still not understood we still don't know who was the cruel master was. Can you identify cruel master? Vaishnavi, anybody you can unmute and speak. Who the cruel master
Hare Krishna
was?
Prabhuji.
Yes.
The cruel master is Maya Devi. I feel the cruel master is Maya Devi who kicks us and is very rude.
Till all the jigsaw puzzle is solved. So the prince is the soul. The wandering soul was gone out of the kingdom as trying to enjoy, with a desire to enjoy independently. Maya Devi get caught in the domain of Maya. If you're outside the domain of Krishna, then you are in domain of Maya. Now, the 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 kingdom is what we need to identify yet. So somebody can think of what the kingdom means and can quickly unmute and speak. What is kingdom?
So Vrindavan,
kingdom is, Mataji, what?
Golok Vrindavan.
Golok Vrindavan. Anybody else? What could be this kingdom? There are demigods who are there. The ministers are also worshipped.
Upper planetary systems, Prabhuji.
No, it's a Vedic fold. Basically, overall Vedic system is called the kingdom of Lord. Anybody? So outside kingdom are those who are non-believers. They have no faith in God. No God exists, and Vedic fold is called the kingdom of God. Now, in that there is a capital that could be Golok Vrindavan. That is his own home palace. But overall, anyone who is functioning, who is a believer or theist basically, theist who believes in the concept of God per se, may not have very good understanding of it, may think nature is God, somebody may think some Baba is God, somebody may think some even Ganesh ji is God, Shiva is God, or Brahma ji is God, but at least they know that there are some gods, and they are dependent on those gods for the subsistence and maintenance. So the kingdom is that of another quick question, and anybody can unmute and speak. So the question is here: is demigod worship good or bad? Anybody can unmute and speak. Let's start because we just have to move quickly.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, can I?
Yes, Sumit.
Prabhuji, it's not bad. Like, it's good rather than totally fall into Maya or going into the material disasters activities. Rather than we worship demigods, because they are like, if I say, like, they are also under Krishna. So in some lifetime, because of their mercy, we'll get opportunity to serve Krishna. Some because we have few stories some people are worshipping Lord Shiva, and when Shiva come and Shiva like this this story I had listened recently, and finally Lord Shiva, Nitai Sevni Mataji's class I'm hearing like on prayers, and it started. There was a Brahmin and his son. I not remember his name, and that son is so innocent, and he has few more brothers. So what they did when he was out, they had distributed his father's property. When he came back, then his brothers told, "We had already distributed everything. Now, as your property, like our father is your property, and you didn't have anything." He's so innocent. He accepted father. He took his father, and he came कि भाइयों ने बोला कि आप ही मेरे प्रॉपर्टी हो, तो उसके फादर को लगता है हाउ इनोसेंट माय सन इज. तो उन्होंने उसको बोला तुम जाके ना वहाँ पे कुछ ब्राह्मण की टीम में दे आर डूइंग सेक्रीफाइस, और जो बचा हुआ रहेगा ना दे विल गिव इट टू यू. फिर लॉर्ड शिवा आते हैं और उसको बोलते हैं कि जितना सेक्रीफाइस बचता है लॉर्ड कृष्णा के सर्विंग के बाद वो सारे सेक्रीफाइस मेरे होते हैं, तो ये मेरे हैं. तो फिर अपने फादर के पास आके बोलते हैं कि शिवा ने बोला कि ये सेक्रीफाइस उनके है, तो वो बोलते हैं ठीक है तुम उसको दे दो, शिवा का ही है, करेक्ट है. तो शिवा लॉर्ड शिवा इतने मर्सीफुल हो जाते कि कितना इनोसेंट है, इसने ये भी मुझे दे दिया, इसके पास कुछ नहीं है, ये झूठ बोल सकता था कि ये मेरा है, मुझे मिला है. तो लॉर्ड शिवा फिर उसको कृष्णा का ज्ञान देते हैं ताकि उसे नारायण और कृष्णा का मौज मिल सके. तो अगर हम डमी गॉड्स भी करते हैं तो पूरा डीपली मटेरियल लाइफ में पूरा हमारा लाइफ स्पॉइल होने से लिट बेटर कि हम कभी ना कभी किसी ना किसी लाइफ टाइम में कृष्णा को शायद पा पाएंगे. I think.
Okay. Hare Krishna. Yeah, with nice elaborate answer. Anuradha Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Pranam. Prabhuji, I guess demigod worship is good for non-Vaishnavas or non-devotees and atheist, theist people who are karmis, because they want some fruit from their action. But pure devotees, they do not want to forget their ultimate goal by worshipping demigods and getting wealth or different things. So that is the reason they will directly worship the ultimate God instead of worshipping demigods. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Jayashree Mataji and Vikas Roji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Yes, of course, demigod worship is good enough because it opens pathways and portals to reach the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna.
Okay.
Because it increases our curiosity, and it opens up, step by step we come to know that yes, ultimate destination is to reach Lord Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Vikas Raji?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. So you have already given answer in the next quotation, that Bhagavad Gita 7.2, 22-23. And there Lord Krishna elaborately explains that in the 23, wherein he says that Antvantu phalam tesham tad bhavati alpamed sam devan devyajo yanti mad bhakta yanti mamapi. So ultimately we need to see that what is our target. Our target is Lord Krishna. Our target is not achieving the mercy of, though our goal is in between, that is that we want the mercy of demigods as well, but that is automatically achieved. Like once His Grace Sitaram Prabhuji was mentioning that if you read Bhagavatam or if you read any scripture related to Lord Krishna, all demigod comes to pay obeisances to that house and they bless the people living there in that house. So ultimately, if we are engaged in Krishna consciousness and we are trying to uh, offer our devotional service to Lord Krishna, ultimately all the results that are embedded in worshipping the demigods are automatically achieved. And we uh, ultimately, as Lord Krishna is explaining, that Tad Bhavati Alp Medham, the people who are actually worshipping demigods, they are Alp Medham, they are Alp Buddhi, because ultimately the goal of human form of life is to achieve my devotional service and not the services to the demigods. So if we see the ultimate target, it is bad, because Lord Krishna is not recommending. And once the Supreme Personality of Godhead is not recommending that, so we cannot form our own opinion that it is good. It is good per se that they are Vaishnavas and we can offer our obeisances, but our goal sticks to worshipping them only is not good. That is my understanding. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much. So basically, it's like asking a question whether 60% are good or bad. Is demigod worship good or bad? Is asking a question whether 60%, somebody getting 60% is good or bad. Now, if that person has always been getting 80%, then getting 60% is bad. But if that person has always been getting 40%, then for him to get to 60% is good. So I think Anuradha Mataji very elaborately explained it in very right words that for karmi, for an atheist or karmic who has no conception of God, for them, if at least they can come to the demigod worship, they will at least come within the broader framework of Vedic education, Vedas. Now, this is not the ultimate goal. One should not assume this demigods to be the supreme personality of Godhead and keep ourselves limited to only worshipping them. Eventually, we should be curious enough to know whether is there anybody higher than them also. Because initially, once one may have their desires fulfilled through the worship of demigods, and then one may not even want to go further, inquire further, become more curious and go ahead. So when we consider good to be the best, now this is the good can become the worst enemy of the best, because if one consider good, better, best, there are three degrees, and one consider good to be the best, then one will have no desire to endeavor to achieve the best. And that's if that happens, then the good becomes a stumbling block or the roadblock in your bhakti. But otherwise, if somebody is getting 40 marks, for him to get 60 marks is better. At least he's improving. But one should continue to improve. But if anyone who has started worshipping Krishna, for him to go to demigod is like you're getting 80 marks, now you've started getting 60 marks. So that is a downfall. It's not, it should not be done. It should not happen. So demigod worship is good only for those who are not doing any kind of worship at all, if at all that is the situation. But otherwise, one should not fall back on the demigod. One should, if one has already gone to Krishna, one should stick to the worship of Krishna and then should not look backwards towards the demigods. Three examples we'll see quickly. story of Vallabhacharya. Bhagesh Mataji, I don't recollect if this is the same story, but Vallabhacharya was a great devotee of Lord Krishna and Shiva. And once, due to some distress condition, he prayed very well to Lord Shiva, and Shiva appeared. Touched by his prayers, Lord Shiva appears and asks him, "What you want?" And then Vallabhacharya asks Lord Shiva that, "Please give me what is most dear to you, O Lord." And Lord Shiva smiles broadly and gave him deity of Lord Krishna. Since that time, Vallabhacharya became a Vaishnava, but he never rejected Lord Shiva. In fact, he considered Lord Shiva to be his guru. Lord Shiva is Mahajan as well. So he continued to worship Lord Krishna. He became a great Vaishnava after that. Another beautiful story comes in Chaitan Chatamrit, that of Keshav Kashmiri Pandit. Keshav Kashmiri Pandit was a devotee of Mother Saraswati. And he had a boon that no one from this creation can ever defeat him in the argument. And then, he would go from region to region. He would debate with Panditas or experts, and he would defeat them. And then he would make them sign that I've been defeated by Keshav Kashmiri Pandit. And then Jai Pataka he used to carry in front of his army. He had a whole the whole paraphernalia is to travel along with him wherever he used to go. He had he was a big thing. And he came to Navadvip, hearing that Navadvip was a center of cultural excellence at that time, and all the many Pandit scholars are living in Navadvip. And then the scholars in the Navadvip thought that Nimai Pandit, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was at that time known as Nimai Pandit. They let him go and debate with Keshav Kashmiri. If Nimai is able to defeat him, then our people will say that, oh, our boy, our small boy went and defeated this Keshav Kashmiri. We also would have easily defeated. We are so much more smaller. So our glory is salvage. And if Nimai gets defeated, anyway, we will say that he's a small boy. What's the big deal that he got defeated at the hand of such a big scholar? And then that a casual conversation occurred on the bank of Ganges, where Keshav Kashmiri Pandit composed prayers glorifying Mother Ganga, and Mahaprabhu kept pointing out mistakes in his composition after verse after verse. And those 100 verses, he composed on the spot, and they flow from his mouth like a river, which hearing itself was a problem. Understanding was considered to be impossible, and memorizing was out of this world. And Mahaprabhu not only heard it, understood it, he memorized it also. And then he kept pointing out mistake after mistake in that composition, and which Keshav Kashmiri Pandit considered to be flawless. They said, there can't be any mistake. My composition cannot have any error. And then many errors Mahaprabhu points out, and that he feels ashamed, he feels humiliated by such defeat. And that too in a very casual way, Mahaprabhu defeated him. He goes back to his camp, and that night he's praying very hard to the Mother Saraswati that what I have done wrong. Why have you allowed me to be defeated like this? It's been humiliating experience for me. And then Mother appears in his dream. They said, oh, Mother, you told me that nobody from this creation can ever defeat me. But today I got defeated at the hands of a small boy could come and defeat me. Then she said, yes, my boon was correct. And that no one from this creation could have ever defeated you. But the boy who defeated you is not from this creation. He is the one who has created everything. So he is not ordinary boy, and that's why he could defeat you. He is master of my master. My master is Brahmaji, and he is master of him. So it's a glory that you got defeated at the hand of Lord. So go and fail at his feet and become a devotee. And then that's how next day morning, Keshav Kashmiri Pandit goes back and fails at the feet of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and beg forgiveness and become his nice devotee, become Vaishnava and stop, traveling, defeating other people and become a humble Vaishnava. Another example of a demigod worshipper progressing to become finding right path and becoming devotee of Lord Krishna, getting the ultimate destination. Third example, which we'll quickly see, is that a story of a Chandidas. Again, Chandidas was a devotee of Mother Chandi, Ma Chandi. And his brother, he had a brother who was a Vaishnava, and he used to offer puja to Shaligram Shilas he had, and he used to offer beautiful puja to those Shaligram Shilas. And this Chandidas was opulent, and he had a nice home, nice bagicha for where he used to cultivate a lot of flowers for his of which was to for offering it to Mother Ma Chandi. And there was a flower that his brother saw in his garden, a very beautiful flower, and he developed a desire that I should offer this beautiful flower to my Shaligram Shila. And being a humble Vaishnava, he go and ask to his brother that, oh, my brother, you have such a beautiful garden, so many flowers are there, but this particular flower I liked so much, I would like this to be offered to my Lord, my Shaligram Shila. Can you please permit? Can you please allow me to do so? And Chandidas denies. He said, no, all flowers in this garden are meant for Ma Chandi and they will only go to her. Now, the moment he expressed desire, his brother expressed desire, and he actually offered that flower to his Shaligram Shila in his mind. And so, though the flower was very much on the plant and was plucked by Chandidas, when he took that flower and offered it to Ma Chandi, she appeared in front of him. Chandidas was also surprised that every day I've been offering, worshipping you in the same way, but you are never satisfied. And suddenly, what's so different? What has happened now because of which you became so happy and now you have come and appeared in front of me? What was, what I did differently? Then she said, today I got prasad. I got prasad. I got a flower which was offered to the Lord of my Lord. My Lord is Lord Shiva and his Lord is Lord Krishna. And this particular flower was offered to him. Your brother offered that flower to the Shaligram Shila in his mind. Therefore, it became prasad. And that prasad, when you offered to me, I became extremely happy. And that therefore I appeared in front of me, in front of you. And so, what do you want? So then he said, so should I be? So if you think the Shaligram Shila, Lord Krishna is supreme, then do you think I should also be worshipping him? Then she said, yes, yes. You did not worship me. Up till now, you've been asking so many things. I've been giving those as per my capacity, but you should stop doing this and you should engage in the worship of unalloyed service of Lord Krishna. That is the ultimate goal. That is what even I am endeavoring. My husband is endeavoring. And you should also do that. And that will give perfection of your life. So Chandidas remained Chandidas, but became a great Vaishnava, and he considered Ma Chandi as his guru. So another beautiful example of the demigod worship can help us come to Krishna consciousness, but not always. People, unless you get association of devotees, unless you are able to understand the real nature of demigods through devotees. Now, devotees will not disrespect demigods, but they will not worship demigods. They will go to Lord Krishna for even their material requirements, if at all they are at that level. So, demigod demigod worship is like ministers. Demigods are like ministers in the Krishna's kingdom. Krishna is like prime minister or king. They help run the kingdom. They help, take care of the material affairs of this kingdom. And its demigod worship is recommended in various Vedic instructions for those who wants to start, who are not able to accept Krishna as supreme God at the beginning. The many people it shouldn't become exclusive religion that you accept, that we go and say that Lord Krishna is supreme personality of Godhead. Start worshipping from him right from now onwards. And many people, if you go and ask this make this statement to many people, a lot of them will struggle to understand. A lot of them will struggle to accept this aspect. But then, so what will happen is, if they are not able to agree to this statement, then either do this or don't do anything else. Then they go out of the domain of Vedic framework completely. Because then they said, if I have to only, I can imagine, I can understand that there is God, but if Krishna is God, I don't want to worship him. And at this point of time, I don't have any affection for worshipping Krishna. I don't have any knowledge about Krishna. And I don't, right now, whatever I have heard about Krishna, because of that, I don't even want to know about more about Krishna. I don't want to read Bhagavad. I don't want to hear his katha from Krishna book. Now, what do you do with these people? Now, there will be majority of the people could be in this band, Bahunam Janmanam Ante Jnanavan Mam Prapadyate Vasudevam Sarvamiti Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha. Krishna says, such a Mahatma, such a soul is very rare who will accept me as Supreme Personality of Godhead, which means the whole population, practically 99.99% population may not accept Krishna as Supreme Personality of Godhead. What will happen to them? So Krishna, to keep them in the Vedic framework, Krishna himself has created this worshipping demigod, the process of worshipping demigod through the Vedic instructions. So the Vedic instructions actually at times tell, if you want this benefit, worship this demigod. If you want this benefit, worship that demigod. But it also conclusively say that you need not worship anybody. You just go and worship Krishna and all your material and spiritual needs are taken care of. However, if one is not able to go to Krishna, one may start with these demigods. So for them, demigod becomes a stepping stone. Demigod worship becomes a stepping stone. Demigod don't compete with Krishna, but they assist in getting wandering souls back to Krishna. We'll go to the second aspect of this first verse. We are still on the first verse itself, 12th verse, where we talked about demigod worship. Now we'll talk about worshipping of absolute truth as the impersonal absolute truth. And now what we'll do is we'll quickly go through the history of evolution, how this whole Vedic process got evolved, and it's always have a cyclical nature. Everything in the material world we see cyclical, has a cyclical nature. The sun rises, sun sets. So seasons change. The monsoon is here, the winter will come, summer will come, again monsoon will come. So everything in the nature has a cyclical nature. Even living entities take body, go through the 6 changes, die, take another body, again go through same 6 changes, die, again come back. So the cyclical nature of the material world ensures that the religion is also not fixed at all point of time. So the religion also go through a cycle. So Vedic religion was very prominent in the time when Dwapar Yuga ended. Then when Parikshit Maharaj was ruling, eventually Kali Yuga started, and the beginning of the Kali Yuga, all the deterioration of the religion happened. And over last 5,000 or 4,000, less than 5,000 years, we've seen many modes, many things getting propagated at different point of time. So we'll go through a history of Vedic cycle, which where a lot of things, where different times, different philosophies were getting propagated. So Lord Buddha appeared, and he appeared in time when the Vedic culture was prevalent, but it was misused. Indiscriminate animal killing was done in the name of Veda. The Vedic instruction, Vedas, there is a Vedic instruction that you can sacrifice animal, and that was misused. The Brahmanas were exploiting the whole society, the whole social circle, social aspect under the Vedic fold was getting exploitative and for everyone. And hence, Lord appears as Buddha, and he rejected Vedas, and he propagated Shunyavad. He propagated basic human values to be followed, basic moral code to be followed. And the Buddhism per se has no description of God. There's no concept of God that was talked about in the Buddhism. So Shunyavad was propagated by Lord Buddha. Then came Shankaracharya, and he propagated impersonal Brahmavad. Now, Shunyavad, Brahmavad, we'll discuss slightly more briefly. After Shankaracharya came Ramanujacharya. Now, Shankaracharya also had a big grip in the entire culture, and so shaking up that oneness or the Advaita or oneness was propagated by Shankaracharya. And to counter that, Ramanujacharya came, and he was the first one of the first Vaishnava Acharya, but he propagated Vishishta Advaita Vad. Vishishta Advaita Vad was propagated by Ramanujacharya, where he says that there is oneness, but there is a relationship aspect also. That is, prominent relationships exist between the soul and super soul. So it's not just one. There are relationship. Oneness, I cannot have relationship with myself, and to have relationship, the duality has to be there. So Vishishta Advaita Vad explains that aspect. Then came Madhavacharya. Madhavacharya propagated Dvaitavad. He says, what is one? There is no oneness. Everything is different. Jeev, Jagat, Jagadish, all are different. Two Jivas are also not same. They are also different. So there is Dvaitavad. So from oneness to duality, Madhavacharya took the philosophical arguments to another extreme, and then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared, and he propagated the Achintya Bhedabhed Tattva, which is simultaneously one and different. They're different, yes. They're one, yes. And how it is Achintya Bhedabhed, that it is simultaneously one and different. We'll take a slightly closer look at all this. Now, why we are discussing this? Because this is, in general, in broad sense, will capture what the impersonal worship is. The impersonalism, which is still today, even today, very prominent, which rejects the Bhagavan to be a supreme personality of Godhead. And so it has its roots in these philosophies, the Buddhism, Shankaracharya's philosophy teachings, and then they are so so deep rooted even into this society that at times people are not able to accept that God can be a person, and God, we can have a relationship with God. People are still not coming to these terms, and therefore they are stuck in the discussion in those philosophic those older philosophies only. And what result happens? We'll see that through the verses of Bhagavad Gita, that where Krishna deal with those two specific cases. So Lord Buddha, just mindful of time, Lord Buddha talks about the basic lesson on, he spoke basically gave basic lessons on morality, Shunyavad, no information about God. Purpose was to stop indiscriminate animal slaughter in the name of Vedic rituals. And as a result, people became atheists as they completely rejected the authority of Vedas and the concept of God. Then came Srimad Shankaracharya. The impersonal philosophy he propagated, Brahman is supreme. The Shunya was replaced by Brahman. Brahma Satya, Jagat Mithya. So anything that is temporary, reject. So that was propagated by Shankaracharya. His philosophy also known as Advaita philosophy, oneness, non-dual or oneness that he propagated. That ultimate dream of a Mayavadi is that he become God himself. And so there are many branches of Mayavad that exist within this broader umbrella of Mayavad or impersonalism. But he reestablished the authorities of Vedas. He established temple worship, though he didn't had any concept of supreme personality of Godhead, but he opened temple and he allowed demigod worship. He said the forms are not important anyway. So whatever form you want to worship Ganesha, start worshiping Ganesha, but understand that the ultimate truth is impersonal. That does not, when you go beyond the form, then you are progressing. If you get stuck with the form, then you are a problem. So there was broader understanding of impersonalism that was propagated by Srimad Shankaracharya. That branch that had two branches basically, to Brahmavad and Mayavad. We'll take a quick look at those two through Bhagavad Gita teachings. That 12th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the 12.5th verse, the Kleshodhiksta. So where Krishna deals with Brahmavadis specifically, that Kleshodhiktar ste stesham avyakta asakta chetasam avyaktam asakta chetasam. Then the Kleshodhiktar means for those whose minds are attached to the unmanifested, avyakta asakta chetasam. Those minds are attached to the unmanifested impersonal feature of the supreme advancement is very troublesome. Kleshodhiktar. That anybody who is attached to the unmanifested impersonal feature of the Supreme Lord, for them, advancement is very troublesome. To make progress in that discipline is always difficult for those who are embodied. So anybody who is embodied, and means anybody who is all the living entities, the human beings especially, if they try to develop attachment to the avyakta, that is unmanifested, that is impersonal, absolute truth, impersonal feature of that absolute truth. The absolute truth exists at three levels. That is Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. But anyone who gets only attracted to the impersonal feature of that absolute truth, for them, making progress becomes very difficult. These devotees are attracted to Brahma Jyoti emanating from the body of the Supreme Lord. They may or may not have knowledge about the person, Supreme God, but or definitely have no attraction towards him. So even if they know that there is a form from whose body this effulgence is coming, they have attraction towards the effulgence, not the body, not the God, not the person, God, Supreme God. Now, this could be due to their ignorance, but this could be due to their shortcomings. But because they are not attracted to the Supreme Lord, they divert all their attention to the attainment of that Brahma Jyoti. However, the good part for them is they are not offensive towards Supreme Personality of Godhead. They just have no attraction towards it. But if they come in contact with pure devotees, then they can quickly become very good devotees and attain the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, all that they need is a bridge. Just somebody just need to hold their hand and bring them to the other side, and then they become extremely wonderful devotees. And example of that, such people comes in the Srimad Bhagavatam is four Kumaras, four sons of Brahmaji, Sanak Sanakadi, and then Sukadeva Goswami himself. They said Sukadeva Goswami himself confirms and concludes that he was not originally attracted towards the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But eventually, when he heard the Bhagavatam, when he came in contact with devotees, his dormant love for Lord arose, and then he became a wonderful speaker of Bhagavatam. Compared to them, Mayavadis, the impersonalism has two branches. We spoke about Brahmavadis, now let's talk about Mayavadis. Now, Mayavadis are dealt with by Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita in the 9th chapter when he says that avajananti mam mudham manusham tanumashritam param bhavam ajananto namo bhuta maheshwaram. The fools, he used very strong language for those Mayavadis because they are offensive to the Lord. They're not just ignorant about the Lord. They're not just don't have any attraction towards him, but they become offensive towards Lord. And then, so that's why Krishna is using very harsh language, harsh words to describe such people. That fools deride me when I descend in the human form. Avajananti mam mudha, manushim tanushim. They do not know my transcendental nature as the supreme Lord of all. That be 12th verse, 9th chapter. Mohasha, Moha Paramano, Moha Jnana, Vichetasaha, Rakshasim, Hasurim, Chaivo, Prakritim, Mohinim, Shritaha. So, those people, what happens to them? Such people, what is their destination? Mogha. Mogha means waste. Mogha means complete destruction, complete waste. Mogha. That is the word Krishna is using continuously in this particular verse to describe about such people, such Mayavadi worshippers of the impersonal absolute truth, who are even offensive towards Lord. So those who are thus bewildered by and attracted by the demoniac and atheistic views, and in that deluded condition, their hopes for liberation and their creative activities and their culture of knowledge are all defeated. So they're just not attracted, but they attracted toward, but they offensive, commit offenses towards Lord as well. This is most unfortunate. And even it's like some person is very sick and he's going and eating the feast. Now, what happens in such cases? If a sick person who is not allowed to eat, supposed to eat anything, he go and eat a big feast, big buffet menu, and then two things happen. One is his disease become worse. Whatever his stomach upset, whatever he must have had, it will worsen because now the stomach is not able to deal with whatever medicines he was getting, and if you put truckload of food into it, just goes for a toss. So his situation worsens, his sickness worsens, and the recovery gets prolonged. So that is what happens with Mayavadi people, that their ignorance worsens, become from bad, it become worse. And their recovery, their return to possibility of return to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that gets delayed, prolonged. Comes Srimad Ramanujacharya, Vishishta Advaitavad, we spoke briefly. A Lord is like a soul and living entities are like body, and there's a relationship between the soul and the body. So you reestablish the aspect of bhakti, the aspect of relationship between the Bhakta and the Ishvara. And comes Srimad Madhavacharya, Dvaitavad, he said everything is dual, different. Jeev, Jagat, Jagadish, all different. Jiva and Jiva are different. So no oneness. Where is oneness? No oneness. So Madhavacharya propagated Dvaitavad, duality. And Mahaprabhu came with the Achintya Bheda Abhed Tattva, simultaneously one and different. What teachings of Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam at the center of his preaching, along with the chanting of the holy name as the process to attain love of God. Deployed various prominent, most intelligent personalities of that time, which are six Goswamis, for propagating his teachings. They wrote elaborate literature refuting impersonalism, many arguments of impersonalism, and provide great details about Lord, name, beautiful form, teachings, instructions, transcendental activities, establish temples of worships and places of pastimes shown by personal example how to follow Gaudiya Vaishnava Siddhanta. So all this was done by six Goswamis under his instruction, and then that is how the today's modern times, the Gaudiya Vaishnavism got established and got propagated. Later, Srila Prabhupada took it to beyond the boundaries of India, and that's how it got. The ISKCON got established in every nook and corner of this world. So that is verse 12. So we discuss verse 13. talks about, it is said that one result is obtained by worshipping the supreme cause of all causes, and that another result is obtained by worshipping what is not supreme. All this is heard from the undisturbed authorities who clearly explained it. So we see the Victoria Terminus, CST, Chhatrapati Shivaji Terminus station. We have one big station in Mumbai, and which is just built by Britishers, and we see hundreds and hundreds of trains depart from that station. Question is, do all trains starting from CST station go to the same destination? Somebody
No,
you can
Prabhuji.
speak. No. So not all trains go to the same destination. So will all, whichever deity we may worship, will it give the same result?
No, Prabhuji.
No.
No, Prabhuji.
Whichever process of bhakti we may follow, will it give the ultimate fruit, same fruit?
No,
Somebody,
Prabhuji.
there was Sankashti Chaturthi, Angarika Chaturthi, somebody was
Hare Krishna.
fasting on that. Hare Krishna.
So bhakti is actually, as per means our understanding, is for that we are doing the devotional service for Bhagwan and not for the demigods. Means that is just a process in which we are worshipping demigods. As Shastra says that we should worship, and ultimately devotional service comes in relation to Lord only, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So if in that context we are speaking about bhakti, so as Lord also explains in I believe 12th chapter, in the third verse, that all the processes although come to me, but the devotional service to me is the easiest one. So other processes will take long time, but the ultimate destination will be Lord Krishna only. If it is in context to the Supreme Personality of God.
No,
But
this
if
is
we
not
are
in
taking
contact
that
with
for
Supreme
all the
Personality of God.
demigods also,
Yeah, so based with the
then it
previous
is no
verse,
problem.
the deity, whichever deity I may worship. Now, it's not necessarily Lord Krishna's deity. It's not between Lord Ram, Lord Krishna, or Lord Narasimha. Whichever deity. I can
Then it
worship
is
a
no problem.
Baba, a deity of some Baba who I may worship
Even Sai
anybody.
Baba, like
Sai Baba, it could be
why
anybody.
it is not.
Yes.
Yes,
So,
sir.
and
Then it is no problem.
process of bhakti means I may fast on Monday for somebody, Tuesday for somebody. We have many Wednesday for somebody, and then like that it goes on. I may walk to some Siddhi Vinayak, for example, from home, and maybe they do all kind of vratas, all kind of vratas. There could be hundreds of vratas that can be found. One this for this Devi, that Devi. Will it all give me same result?
No problem. Because
Okay.
ultimately the result has to come from Lord Krishna, who says that Udrasta Hanumanta cha. So they will, everyone will not be on the same plane, like as it is mentioned in the Shastras also that Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, they are on the higher plane of in amongst the demigods also. So if someone will be worshipping them, then ultimately something better will come in their part. And like as Mataji mentioned once that praying to Lord Shiva, he can also benedict us to the pure devotional service of at the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, which is the highest. But that will not happen in the case if we worship to Lord Indra or sun god or some other demigod. That
Anybody,
may or may
see,
not
it's
happen.
a
So every
worshiping what we ask for. It's a Padashruti, what is being desired by the devotee. If the desire of a devotee is to get a job or a promotion or a spouse or a child or a new home, new car, or enjoyment, successful vacation, successful business, doubling my income, tripling my market gains, uh, India winning. A lot of people yesterday probably. Yesterday was a match. I didn't realize it. We actually didn't knew. Fortunately, I didn't knew. Saw it today in morning that there was a match of like a final was there. So a lot of people would have, uh, you know, would have prayed, offered prayers to some gods, demigods that let India win. नारियल दूंगा, पेढ़ा दूंगा, 21 रुपए दूंगा, whatever. So we have multiple ways in which people follow deity worship. Those who those who are theists or believers in God, the concept of God, if you see now, those people are few. There are a lot of big population today who is completely atheistic population. So amongst those who are believers of God also, you see a grand variety that exists. And most of them are actually believing that it does not matter. It all goes one God. Finally, it's all one. They're all one. Now, the Shastras, the description come, Kiti Deva. The Kiti Deva means how many gods? And then the description starts with million, and then it comes to ultimately one. Why multiple answers? Multiple answers will be required according to the level of your understanding. Ultimately, it is one. But if you want, how many ministers are there? Yes, prime minister. Ultimately, there is one minister. That is prime minister. Everybody is under him. But if you choose to approach these, then you will see you should not get bewildered that who are all these people. So they're all under him. But if you go to him, you need not go to all of them. And if you are going to them, then ultimately you should know whom to approach for your ultimate desires. So not every not all paths lead to the same destination. If that was the case, then there was no need for God to give instruction in the scriptures, through the scriptures. Because then whatever you do, if you will go back to Krishna by doing whatever, then there was no need to speak Bhagavad Gita. Whatever, you're drinking alcohol, eating pan, doing gambling, and then spending your days and nights in watching cricket and movies and web series. And by doing all this, also, if you think you will go back to Krishna, then what is the need for Krishna to speak Bhagavad Gita? So that too more prominently become visible in the instruction by contrast. There are many verses in the Bhagavad Gita where the verse 13 itself is an instruction by contrast. If you do this, this result will come. If you do this result, some other result will come. Now use your knowledge and choose wisely what you want to do. 18.58, beautiful verse. I keep remembering this, that that Krishna says that Machitta Sarva Durgani Mat Prasadat Tarishyati. That if you become conscious of me, by my grace, you will cross over all your obstacles. But however, because of ahankar, if you refuse to do this, no shroshyatin, if you don't listen to my instructions and follow them, vinakshati. So very clear instruction by contrast. If you listen to me, by my grace, you will cross over all obstacles. But if you don't listen to me, all your endeavors are destroyed. Vinakshati. Very, very clear. Yanti Devo Hivo Deva. 9.25, another verse. So those who are worshippers of demigods go to the abode of demigods. Those who are worshippers of Pitaras, they go to the abode of Pitaras. Those who worship Bhutas, they go to the planets of Bhutas, ghosts, and those who worship me comes to me. So now, very clear, Krishna is instructing in a very clear way that not everything you do will give you the same result. The ultimate result that you should desire is to coming back to me. And if you think you can come back to me by doing anything nonsense, that is wrong. Then that's what the verse emphasizes. Prabhupada writes in the purport that does all Vedic literature confirms that Narayana or Krishna is the cause of all causes. In the Brahma Samhita 5.1, also it is said that the Supreme Lord is Sri Krishna, Govinda, the delighter of every living being and the primeval cause of all causes. The really learned person knows This from evidence given by the great sages and the Vedas. And thus they decide to worship Lord Krishna as all in all. They don't go here, there. They don't go यहाँ ट्राई करते हैं, यहाँ ट्राई करते हैं, नहीं तो ये है ही. They don't have plan B. They just they just have Krishna. They just have Krishna, and they said, we don't need anything else. We don't need anybody else. Whatever good, bad, ugly has to happen, let it happen with the will of Krishna. And they are completely surrendered to Krishna in that way. Such persons are called Buddha or really learned because they worship only Krishna. Sri Ishopanishad advises us to pour water on the root of the source of all germination. Worship of mass of humanity by rendering bodily service, which can never be perfect, is less important than service to the soul. Now, Prabhupada is trying distinction in Manav Seva and Madhav Seva. Manav Seva and Madhav Seva. Manav Seva, what do you mean by Manav Seva? Opening hospitals, teaching uneducated children, teaching them, giving them, distributing, the notebooks, notepads, books, school bags to them, maybe some giving some money for going, paying their fees, taking care of their fees, unprivileged, those who can't go to school, sending them to school, those who can't eat, giving them food to eat, those who can't wear clothes, giving them clothes to wear, those who have no homes, giving them some shelter in form of anath ashrams, and so on and so forth. So, those who are sick, give them some free medical facility, so on and so forth. So, this is called Manav Seva. And people can extend it to even birds. There are birds who get caught in the summer season. They give water to the birds, food to the birds. There are Sarpa Mitra. Sarpa Mitra means those are friends of snakes. Snakes get caught anywhere. People just become so frantic, so scared. They just go and kill him. But then they said that don't kill him. All snakes are not bad. They are also living entities. So I will come and save them. Call me on this number and I will come and save that. I will take that snake away. So there are bird friends, those who get caught in the electric wires. People go and rescue those birds, and then they give them, revive them, make them healthy so that they can fly. So this is in general Manav Seva versus Madhav Seva. Now Prabhupada is drawing a distinction between the two. That worship of the mass of humanity by rendering bodily service, which can never be perfect, is less important than service to the soul. Prabhupada writes further that the soul is the root that generates different types of bodies according to the law of karma. So you may take care of somebody's human body, male body, female body in this life, and next life they may come back as dog body. So you're not solving the problem at its root. You're just curing the symptoms, trying to cure the symptoms. Now, at times, even that is important. However, if you ignore the root cause and just keep treating the symptoms, you're actually doing a disservice to that soul. They deserve better service than this. So to serve human beings by medical aid, social help, and educational facilities, while at the same time cutting the throat of poor animals in the slaughterhouses, is no service at all to the soul or the living beings. The simple way to worship the Supreme Lord in this age of disturbance is to hear and chant about his great activities. So very briefly, Prabhupada has spoken about Madhav Seva to be superior. Therefore, if you see, we don't distribute food, we distribute prasad. By eating prasad, they are re-establishing their contact with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. So that's how their purification process has begun. Otherwise, if you just give them food, uh, that is still creating bondage for them and bondage for you. It's neither helping you nor it is helping them. and hence it is not recommended by the Shastra. Establishing contact with the Supreme God, giving them connection with the Supreme God should be the primary focus of any help that is offered to anybody. And if any help is offered where the contact with Supreme Lord is missing, that help go as a waste. So again, something that we need to ponder. Something similar. This point is similar to what we've heard in the previous purports of Srila Prabhupada, when Prabhupada has criticized modern education, which is godless in nature. So a lot of people came back asking me, but education is good, it's creating fan because of it, we have technology, because of the same technology, we are able to connect today, then and we are able to hold these classes. The fan is, we sit under the comfort of a fan or air conditioning. Had it not been there, it could have been so messy, and all so on and so forth. So, we need to understand the principle here. The principle is, if you eliminate God from the equation, then no matter what you do, it's a waste. So that which will not help you go back to Krishna and end the cycle of repeated birth and death. Their fan is invention of air conditioner, fast moving car, aeroplanes, rockets, whatever, be it internet or computers for that matter, none of them are going to solve our problem of birth, death, old age, and disease. So there, as long as they're used in the service of Krishna or our bodily maintenance so that we can render service to Krishna, they are useful, but beyond that, they are not useful. So one should not over glorify that aspect which is godless in the nature, and let's focus on living simple life, which is God focused, which is God centered, which is Krishna centered, and that can give us sufficient amrutam ashnute, that can help us go back to Krishna, go back to the kingdom of God, and enjoy His eternal in life of bliss and knowledge, eternal life of bliss and knowledge. So that is Satchit Ananda, all three captured in one sentence. So the 14th verse, we speak about that one should know perfectly the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, His abode, His name, form, qualities, and pastime, as well as, so one should know about the spiritual aspect and one should also know the material aspect. And both one should know side by side. One should know about the material world, how it functions, the man and the animal, and the temporary demigods. Why demigod? Because nature functions because of those demigods. They are the administrator of this of the material nature. So sun is a god, demigod. Sun and moon, they are demigods. The Varun Dev is demigod. The Jala, the Gangaji is the demigoddess. So there are gods who function, who are helping this whole creation to function. It doesn't happen automatically. It is these demigods function under the instructions of processes given by Lord Krishna. And then because of them, the whole material cosmos is functional. At right time we have rain, at right time we'll have winter, again we'll come back to the summer, and so on and so forth. So all the natural cycles are functioning because of these demigods. So even they are part of the creation, and we should have knowledge about them as well, so that we can offer our respects to them. We shouldn't become offensive towards them. One should know that how rain comes, who sun is. We can't ignore sun. We can't just ignore that the sun is eye of Lord Krishna. So we can't ignore. So we should pay obeisances to sun and pray to give us devotional service to Lord Krishna, so that we function properly in this material world with the knowledge of both the material world, knowledge of the material world, as well as knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And when one knows this, he surpasses death and the empirical, emperor cosmic manifestation with it. And in the eternal kingdom of God, he enjoy his eternal life of bliss and knowledge. Let's look at the purport of mantra 14. By its so-called advancement of knowledge, human civilization has created many material things, including spaceship and atomic energy. Yet, it has failed to create a situation in which people did not die, take birth again, become old, or suffer from diseases. Whenever an intelligent man raises the question of these miseries before a so-called scientist, the scientist very cleverly replies that material science is progressing and that ultimately it will be possible to render man deathless, ageless, or diseaseless. Such answers prove the scientist's gross ignorance of the material nature. Now, why ignorance? Because scientists does not understand that how these things are taking place. Prabhupada explains further that we discussed this in our last session, that in the material nature, everyone is under stringent laws of matter and must pass through 6 changes of existence: birth, growth, maintenance, production, byproduct, production, deterioration, and finally death. No one in contact with no one in contact with material nature can be beyond these 6 laws of transformation. Therefore, no one, whether demigod, man, or animal or plant, can survive forever in the material world. So, scientists are mistaken. Now, why? Because they are not able to even stop any of these 6 stages. Or what to speak of for reversing them? What to speak of going beyond them? So nobody can stop us from growing old. Nobody can stop us from falling sick. So diseases will come. We can just try and find some cure to the disease, and sometimes the cure even worsens the original disease. The cure could be more horrible than the original disease or the discomfort by original disease. So many ways in which we understand that there is very little understanding of how things happen in the material world. So obviously there is hardly any possibility of what we don't understand, we can't control. That's simple logic. And what we can't control, we can't reverse. So that's why scientists will never be able to win over the old age, disease, and death. So Prabhupada writes further that the duration of life varies according to species. Lord Brahma, the chief living entity, chief living being within this material universe, lives for billions and billions of years, while a minute germ live for some hours only. But no one in the material world can survive eternity. Now, Prabhupada is talking about the time factor, that the duration of life vary according to the species. For some, a germ, a small, minute germ, may live his entire life from childhood, from birth till old age to disease and death in few hours. And Brahmaji may live it for millions and trillions of years. However, both are in the same boat. Both are both are both are seeing the 6 laws of transformation, witnessing the 6 laws of transformation. Both bodies are getting transformed. Both of them are going from young to old, the healthy to disease condition, and both will eventually die. Prabhupada writes further that no one can dominate Krishna. It is the conditioned soul who tries to dominate material nature and is instead subjected to the laws of material nature and suffering of the repeated birth and death. The Lord comes here to re-establish the principles of religion, and the basic principle is the development of an attitude of surrender to Lord Krishna. Lord comes to re-establish the principle, and the basic principle is to develop an attitude of surrender to Krishna. This is the Lord's last instruction in Bhagavad Gita 18.66, where he says, Sarvadharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja. Give up all other processes and just surrender to me alone. Unfortunately, foolish men have misinterpreted this prime teaching and have misled the masses of people in diverse way. People have been urged to open hospitals, but not to educate themselves to enter into the spiritual kingdom by devotional service. They have been taught to take interest only in temporary relief work, which can never bring real happiness to the living entity. They start varieties of public and semi-governmental institutions to tackle the devastating power of nature. Prabhat is talking about floods and earthquakes, the devastating power which witness where we see the devastating power of nature, what nature can do. The whole city can collapse in 1 second. And then there could be many countries that join hand together to rescue, to help that affected area. And the Prabhat writes that there could be many uh, may take interest in the relief work, temporary relief work, which can never bring real happiness to the living entity. They start varieties of public and semi-government institutions to tackle the devastating power of nature, but they don't know how to pacify insurmountable nature. They are again treating the symptoms. Earthquake happens, they try to come together and do some relief work, but they can't, they don't understand how nature can be pacified by doing sacrifice, by doing a yajna. But that they don't inquire about that, they don't know about that, they don't do anything about that. And hence their efforts of becoming happy are defeated always. In this mantra, Sri Upanishad teaches that one must perfectly know both Sambhuti, the personality of Godhead, and Vinasha, the temporary material manifestation side by side. By knowing the material manifestation alone, one cannot be saved, for in the course of nature, there is devastation at every moment. Nor can one be saved from these devastations by opening up hospitals. One can be saved only by complete knowledge of the eternal life and bliss and awareness. One can be saved only by complete knowledge of the eternal life of bliss and awareness. The whole Vedic scheme is meant to educate man in this art of attaining the eternal life. People are often misguided by temporary attractive things based on sense gratification, but service rendered to the sense gratification, sense object, is both misleading and degrading. So we're doing good in terms of time. We'll just spend some 15 minutes on the last concept. Sambhutyam Amrutam Ashnute. And then we'll go to the question answer. So, His Holiness Sridhar Swami Maharaj, disciple of Srila Prabhupada. What we are going to discuss here is basically departure of Sridhar Swami, and as a and how devotees' death transcend the normal death, how they transcend the death, and how they give up their bodies, what really happens. So we'll try to understand that a little bit by seeing the example of His Holiness Srila Swami Maharaj. So Sambhutyam Amrutam Ashnute. Amrutam Ashnute is translated as attaining the kingdom of God, where there is eternal blissful life with knowledge. Now that if one has to attain, what is the price that one has to pay? Let's understand. So Sridhar Swami, disciple of Srila Prabhupada, also was famous as Jolly Swami, because he was always cracking jokes. He would always make jokes. And he was also famous. He labeled himself as Prabhupada's dog. I'm a Prabhupada dog. And there's a cap that he used to wear, which used to read like this, that Prabhupada dog. And the neck beads that he used to wear, he said, "This is my belt." Every dog has a belt, and like that, this is my belt. I am a master. Prabhupada is my master. So, Sridhar Swami Maharaj, beautiful, wonderful devotee, very one who was dedicated again his entire life for service of Srila Prabhupada, for the pleasure of Srila Prabhupada. Served in Juhu temple quite a lot, and was famous for uh, a very joyful nature, joyful mood in which he always used to be. So he, towards the end, developed severe liver problems, and doctors told him that probably he may not last for long. He may not be able to live long. And so to their surprise, after giving this instructions, he lived for about a dozen years. More than dozen years he lived. He continued with his broken liver. So he kind of accepted it as bit of Krishna, but he kept serving, and he lived actually for more than dozen years after that instruction was given. So for leaving his body, so he was uh, he went to he came to went to Canada, met his disciple, and then a lot of his guru god brothers actually told him that all your life you have done. Prabhupada was not there actually. So all your life you work hard for Srila Prabhupada, for the pleasure of Srila Prabhupada. Now you are approaching the inevitable event of giving up your body, and you should actually you should consider going to a dham, and where there you should try and give up your body in a dham. So take some time out for your own self, look after yourself, and make sure that you go to Dham. Don't why leave body in America? It's you have opportunity to go to Dham. And then along with his god brothers, he agreed that I will travel to Navadvip, Mayapur. So they got together, met his god brothers in London. From there, they were all in the flight to Kolkata. And air hostess, he was extremely in pain, and but there also he was cracking jokes. So he took some pills and he was trying to rest, almost looking unconscious. So, seeing the concern, air hostess came to him, asking Swamiji, "Is there something? Is there anything wrong with you?" She asked, and Maharaj replied her saying that there is always something wrong in the material world. There is always something wrong in the material world. As long as you're in the material world, something always be wrong with you. You'll always have something wrong. Padam padam vipadam. So and then he started preaching her. I said he pulled out a book from his bag, offered her a book. She said, "Yes, yes, I'll give you some Lakshmi, I'll give some dakshina, I'll give some donation." And uh, and then he told her that this is Dukhala Nashashritam, and the intelligent person will want to go out of this, go back to the kingdom of Godhead. And then she asked that, is this what you are going to do? He smiled back at her and said, yes, that's exactly what I'm going to do. And then, so he had taken one-way ticket, and a lot of all the Americans, they come to India, they take two-way tickets because they need to also inform the authorities about their departure date. At the same time, they know they can't live here permanently, so the authorities won't allow. So, but Maharaj, while coming for this last yatra, he just bought a one-way ticket. He said, "I don't want to go back to America, no desire, but I'll go back to Krishna from here. I don't want to go back to any other country." So he just came with a one-way ticket to Mayapur to give up his body, as if as if somebody goes to a saloon to get his hair cut. He was as casual as that. He was as confident as that. Uh, so when he came there, he reached Kolkata. All his disciples assembled to welcome him in the car, in a stretcher. He stayed flat, and they took him to Mayapur Dham in a vehicle. And that day, Mayapur Dham, everything was cancelled. All the morning he reached, morning time. So all the Bhagavatam classes, etc., everything was cancelled. The whole temple lined up. Hundreds and hundreds of devotees lined up in front of the main gate to welcome Sri Swami in his last journey. And so he was there. So he saw took darshan of Radha Madhav, Ashtasakhi, Panchatattva, and then he went to the Count Bhavan. That's where all the sannyasis used to stay. And then again, he was not in a hurry. The Gaur Purnima festival was approaching, and then he said, "I don't want to depart on the Gaur Purnima. I will depart after Gaur Purnima." Why? Because I don't want to shift focus of celebration of Lord Chaitanya's appearance day with my departure. I don't want to. I want to rather enjoy that Gaur Seva, Gaur Purnima festival myself, rather than leaving before on that day. It's not good. So he waited for a few more days, and eventually, he left his body. Um, and then in the Mayapur Dham in a very, very auspicious way, surrounded by devotees, always speaking instructions, giving instructions to his devotees, chanting Prabhupada, Pranam Mantra, chanting Hare Krishna, all surrounded by devotees. Everyone was chanting Hare Krishna Mantra, and finally left for the participating, joining with Srila Prabhupada in his eternal service to Lord Krishna. Now, um, let's compare, the departure of pure devotees with normal departures to see what really is different. What do they do differently? What is different in their departure versus departure of normal people? In general, when people depart, a materialistic person will depart, or atheist will depart, so even a demigod worshipper will depart if who have no knowledge of how to depart. That Antapale cha mam evam smaran muktva kalevaram. So if they have no knowledge of this, then they will depart in very horrible condition. So it is said that at the moment of death, the pain that one experiences is equal to about 40,000 scorpions biting at the same time. It's unimaginable pain that we experience, we experience, and while giving up this body, the soul experience that kind of pain. So how can devotee transcend? How they live in such a jolly way until the moment of death? He used to be his stomach was bloated, became very big towards the end. So doctor came examining him, and then he jokingly asked him, "So is it a boy or is it a girl?" So doctors were also surprised that how can you joke? It's your body is completely fallen apart. I mean, there's nothing in your body that is functioning, and you are making a joke. You are cracking a joke with your big stomach. He also had a gas problem, a huge lot of gas problems. So we used to jokingly say that ONGC should set up a plant in his stomach, and they can get a lot of free gas. Is to joke about his sickness and the illness, and continuously he was in great consciousness until he left his body. Maharaj left his body. So, what is different that a devotee do, a pure devotee does, and a normal person does? A normal person, when at the moment of death, suffers from three anxieties. One is sorrow from the past. We said that at the moment of death, the whole life unfolds in front of your eyes. You go through like a movie, just a quick rush movie, like a movie. The whole life goes through your life in front of your eyes. You can end up seeing a lot of things which you should not have done, which you should have done. You should have been good with people. You should have been kind with people. You should have been more uh, truthful with people. You should have been more faithful with people. You should have done less of anarthas. Maybe all those activities will pass through your eyes, and you'll experience great suffer great sorrow from seeing those events from past, recollecting those events from past. Those Many of those um, what it is called atonement. We'll have the feeling of atonement. I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have done that. Many of those realizations will come as you will see your whole life unfold in front of you. So that there is a sorrow from the past. There's a pain at the present. The moment of death, the moment of death, before that, the multiple organs in our body will start failing. So each part of our body can give us experience of pain. Yeah, last session we discussed that most part of our body can't give you experience of happiness, but they can give you experience of pain, like liver, like pancreas, like stomach, like many parts of your body. They will, as they will break down towards the end of your life, our life, they will start giving us enormous pain. So there is a complete, body, various organs are shutting down and then giving extreme pain at that time. Uncertainty of fear of future. This is again one of the most important aspect which cause anxiety to the person who is departing. So imagine a girl who is getting married to an unknown person will have a lot of anxiety. What kind of people I'm getting will be my husband? What kind of a person my spouse husband will be? What kind of a person my relatives will be? New home will be? How it will be? Which city I'm going? And she has no idea. If she has no idea, she will have great anxieties at the moment of getting married. However, versus you think of a girl who has had a long courtship, who's known her uh, husband for a long time, has seen, met his relatives several occasions, and when she were to get married, now there is no anxiety. In fact, there is utsukta, there is a there is a sweet anticipation that awaits at the moment of her marriage. Why? Because there's no anxiety, there's no uncertainty, there is no fear. She knows who her husband is due to long courtship that she has had. She knows who the relatives of her husband are because she has met them on several occasions. She knows which is the city where she will be relocating to after her marriage, and because she probably would have been there a few times. So because of this knowledge, there is no anxiety. So similarly, a devotee does perform this courtship with Lord Krishna throughout one's life sadhana. And because of that experience, he's confident that Krishna will take care of me. We've seen similar kind of confidence experienced by, expressed by most all Srila Prabhupada disciples when they departed. Kadam Swami Maharaj was another example. His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj was another example. He chanted Hare Krishna and went just like that. No problem. So, why do devotees don't experience the all these three that a normal person may experience? Why they don't suffer from the sorrow of the past? Why devotees, when they leave body, don't experience pain at present? Do they not have human body? They are in human body. And why they don't experience the uncertainty of future? So a devotee, take for an example that the devotee has performed a lifelong sadhana, has nothing to regret from the past. Because there is a life until he became a devotee, and from the moment he became a devotee, he's been serving Krishna in an unalloyed way. He probably would have made some mistakes during that service also, but he is not regretful of those because he said, whatever I could understand, I have tried serving you to the best of my capacity. And you being so merciful, I'm sure you will accept it with faults also. I might have done some faults. भोगा कुक करते समय मैं भूल भी गया होगा कि नमक नहीं डाला है, मिर्ची ज्यादा डाला है, फ्राइड बराबर नहीं हुआ है, जल गया है, whatever. But I cooked it with my great intention, I cooked it with my heart. I want to offer it to you. For that I have done my seva. And whatever it is, you please accept it. Now they are in a such humble, prayerful mood towards Lord that Lord cannot say no to them. So a devotee, a great devotee, a pure devotee has no sorrow from the past. What about pain at the present? As you know, we see that their bodies are also falling apart. Multiple organs are failing simultaneously. So, do they not experience pain at the present? The 40,000 scorpions, do they not experience those? That is also done differently by the devotees. Now, devotees throughout their life have utilized their body. They are not attached to their body. Now they understand they have a body, and using that body, they need to serve Krishna and Srila Prabhupada in his movement. So devotees are they know how to utilize the body, but they are not attached to the body. So when the body really functions start getting dysfunctional, the multiple organs start failing. They're because they lack attachment, they don't experience the pain. Now there is inconvenience. There is inconvenience, but there is no suffering because of the detachment that they have developed towards somebody. See, take for an example, if our leg gets fractured, if we suffer. It's a suffering experience for us. However, assume we are traveling in a car and one of the tire of our car gets punctured. Now, there is no suffering in that case. Why? Because you are anyway detached from your body. Because you consider your car to be not same. So your car is different than you. So you may have some inconvenience, but there is no detachment. Because of your detachment, because you have developed detachment over years of sadhana, there is no suffering that may come. So a leg getting fractured, broken versus a tire getting punctured, in both cases, there is inconvenience. But in the first case, because of my attachment with my leg, I experience a lot of suffering. And in the second case, because of my detachment with my motor vehicle, I may have inconvenience, but I don't feel the suffer. I don't suffer any pain. I don't suffer misery because my tire got punctured. My tire of my vehicle got punctured. Because now I'm already treating myself and my vehicle as separately. I may understand that I may be given another vehicle, and so I don't have to worry about that. End of this journey, I'll be taken out of this vehicle and put into some other vehicle. Could be a spiritual body, could be a material body for another balanced service that I might have to render, but that is inevitable. So I don't have to worry about my leg getting punctured or my tire getting punctured because of this detachment. Even if there is inconvenience, there is no suffering that a devotee experiences when he experiences pain at the time of giving up his body. And uncertainty of future. Now they have no certainty about the future. That Kadam Maharaj said so beautifully that I'm confident that Krishna will accept me with all my faults for whatever services I could have done in my lifetime, during my lifetime. Whatever I have done, so Krishna is so merciful, not because my services are great, but because Krishna is merciful, he will accept me. And whatever he wants, I will do that. Whatever he desires, I will do that. I don't know if he wants me to go back to Godhead, go back to Goloka Dham, go back to Vaikuntha Dham, or he wants me to come back and continue serving Prabhupada in his mission in any way or any other way. So whatever, they're completely dependent on Krishna. They have no independence of their own self. So they like that. So they say that they have no anxiety. Just like after a bride going to her husband's place after a few years of courtship has no uncertainty. Similarly, devotees experience no uncertainty. In fact, there is the anticipation of happiness that I now it's time for me to reunite with my beloved Lord Krishna. Now the wait is over. I could serve him whatever way I could throughout the lifetime. now my body is not able to support me. I can't continue with my services now. And with Krishna's will, I will go back to Krishna and I will meet him. This will be my opportunity to meet Prabhupada. This will be my opportunity to meet Lord Krishna himself personally. He can come and embrace me. So a devotee leaves his body with that anticipation of experiencing Krishna. For them, some of them, they say they see this as a change of service. So in this current body, I had these services. Maybe Krishna wants me in some other services. Prabhupada wants me to do some other seva. I will do that. So it's not beyond that. They don't give much importance to the event of death also. So amrutam ashnute. Sambhutyam amritam ashnute. With Sambhuti, by performance of devotional service, we can attain the Amruta. Amruta, that is eternal blissful life with knowledge in this lifetime itself. By performing devotional service in this lifetime itself, we can attain this beautiful fruit of our sadhana. Prabhupada concludes the verse 14 by saying that we must therefore save ourselves and our fellow men in the right way. When Prabhupada's mood is very clear, is to preach. Don't just be selfish. If you know this, well, practice it, but also give it to somebody else. We've given a target to Vikas Prabhuji, Ashwin Shukla Prabhuji, Ravi Kumar Shukla, Ravi Kumar Ladla Prabhuji, and Swapnil Prabhuji, that we want to see 100 people in our japa session, morning japa session. Why we can't have 100 people? Because we want everyone to come and closer to Krishna. We are closer to getting closer to Krishna, inch by inch, centimeter by centimeter, ounce by ounce, whatever. But at the same time, we may not become perfect in this lifetime, may or may not become perfect, but we want to give opportunity to others to also come to Krishna, to save their soul. SOS, save our soul. SOS. And similarly, we don't want to save our soul, we want others to save their soul also. Save others' soul. So there is no question of liking or disliking the truth. What is the truth? Truth is we must perform devotional service. We must save ourselves and also try and save the other men in the society in the right way. What is the right way? Right way is that we must be saved. If we want to be saved from repeated birth and death, we must take to the devotional service of the Lord. We may like it, we may not like it, but this is the truth. It is there. There is no alternative. By opening hospitals, you will not get saved from repeated birth. By teaching people in slums, you will not be able to save yourself from repeated birth. By giving clothes to people, by saving animals, none of those activities, by opening hospitals, giving free medical aid to people, by giving free food to people, you will not be able to save yourself or others from the repeated birth and death. For that, we must take to the devotional service of the Lord. There is no question of liking or disliking it. My way or highway. I will do this way. I think this will give me that same result. None of those logic will ever work because Krishna is very clear. Prabhupada is very clear in their arguments and in their their statements of facts that truth be told. It is there. This is the question. There's no question of liking it or not liking it. It is the truth. Truth has to be accepted and followed. So there can be no compromise for this. It's a matter of necessity. Necessity for yourself as well as necessity for others in the society. Very strong words, very clear words. I hope some doubts that we may still have in our mind about Manav Seva, some form, shape, or demigod worship. Hope all of those are clear. And we'll again we promote want to promote these chat sessions to everyone. Want everyone to come and hear chant with devotees. Unless you are chanting with devotees by visiting a temple, you should be on the Zoom, and you should also come for chant Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita reading sessions in the evening. We'll wait for some question and answer, but otherwise we've been able to complete the class today. We'll see if there are any questions anybody may have. Yes, sir. Ashwini Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you so much for such a wonderful class. And Prabhuji, मेरा प्रश्न ये है कि जो आपने एग्जाम्पल कोट किया या प्रभुपाद ने जो इसमें लिखा हुआ है कि जब हमारा पैर फ्रैक्चर होता है तो हमें दर्द होता है, और जब गाड़ी का टायर पंक्चर होता है तो नहीं होता, बट हमें ट्रैवल तो उस गाड़ी से ही करना है अभी, बीइंग इन दिस मटेरियल वर्ल्ड। तो क्या प्रैक्टिकल अप्रोच होनी चाहिए कि लाइक कोई फिजिकल सफरिंग है, हम देखते हैं आसपास आजू बाजू, मतलब जो डे टू डे लाइफ में पीपल आर फिजिकली सफरिंग, तो कंपैशन तो ये बट नेचुरल आना ही आना है, दैट काइंड हार्टेडनेस वो आता है, बट ये उसको टेम्पररी ट्रीटमेंट है उनका, अगर वो जन्म मृत्यु जरा व्याधि से तो मुक्त नहीं होने वाले उससे, लेकिन दोनों का क्या प्रैक्टिकल अप्रोच होना चाहिए इसमें?
So thank you so much, Roji, for such a nice question. So when it happens to us, for example, it is happening to us, instead of so our tire gets broken. Now, even if we may not have great attachment with our body, but there is inconvenience, as I said. So because because of our detachment, there is not much suffering, but inconvenience is there. Like when my leg got fractured, there was inconvenience, and so we have to tolerate. We have to tolerate. So what can we do? The practical tip is we have to take care of our body. So that that's how the verse recommends, the 14th verse recommends actually that the knowledge of both side by side, knowledge of the material world and knowledge about the devotional service, both together when practiced side by side will give us amritam ashnite. It's not that we have to ignore material life side of our life. We will have a body, so we'll have to take care of our body to last it in a healthy state as long as it's supposed to exist. You know, all of us could have different lifespans, 60, 70, 80, 90, whatever years that we supposed to last, we should last it in a healthy way. Why healthy way? Not because we can then enjoy material life, because we can serve Krishna. Even if I have to serve Krishna nicely, I have to maintain my voice. I have to maintain my body so that I can, we all need to maintain our physical body so that we can stand with the books on the streets and distribute it to anybody who becomes interested. If our legs are broken, we are not able to, will be able to do that. So we have to take care of our body, even though becoming detached doesn't mean becoming careless. We have to not attach to the body. We have to look and feel and medicare pedicure of the of legs will not be done, but we have to protect our body so that it can be utilized for service of Krishna. Now come to the question of others, the suffering that is experienced by others. So what can we do about it? If you understand why people suffer, and how we can, so our endeavor should be to connect them with Krishna. Anyhow or somehow. If we miss Krishna in that connection, then we are missing the bus. So the Food for Life program, Annadam program that is done by every ISKCON temple, ISKCON Bhiwandi also prominently done, is basically, it is actually done for hunger eradication programs. In reality, it's actually that, because the people to whom that food is distributed, they actually might go hungry, or may not get sufficient quantity of food for that time. They probably would not have eaten for a day or prior day as well. The living condition of people is extremely bad to whom that food get distributed to. So for them, they don't care. They will accept any foodstuff that comes their way, without even bothering whether it was offered or not. So hunger eradication, they genuinely have hunger. They have genuine hunger. And when you're genuinely hungry, you don't care what foodstuff comes in front of you, you just want to eat. Because then there's no logic. There is no logic that can be understood at that moment. But those people are also fed prasad. Those people are also fed with prasad. Why? Because knowingly or unknowingly, for them, unknowingly, they are getting connected with Krishna. The food distribution vehicle goes in a basti, and there's a Mahamantra that is played on a big loudspeaker, and everyone comes, they come and dance and chant for some time, and as they stand in the queue, they get some food packets, and then they eat, and then they again chant and dance, and then they go back. So they are not even aware that they are taking prasad. Even if they don't chant and dance, they still take a food prasad packet and go home and eat. They are still eating food that was eaten by Krishna. So the security is getting generated. And they could have been given just normal food. Same dal rice could have been given. But if it was unoffered, it does not have connection with Krishna. So every sympathy we can do, a sympathetic act that we do, we have to search for connection with Krishna in that. If we fail to do that, then we have to understand that our endeavor is faulty. So that way we can understand this aspect, that be it hunger, be it sickness. If you're giving some medical care, you offer those medicines to Krishna. Why not? Because the Ayurveda actually. Ayurveda treatment says that you should pray to Lord Vishnu before you take any medicine. Most of the operation theaters in most of the hospitals, they will have a DT, picture of DT, or some Lord's DT will be there outside the hospital, so that those who are walking in, they can at least take darshan of that Lordships and pray to him for speedy recovery, pray to him for successful surgery. Many doctors offer prayers before starting a surgery. They understand that without blessing of Krishna, even they can't save a patient. Without it is sanctioned by Krishna, God, they may not specifically know that it is Krishna, but they may say that because without the sanction of higher authorities, I may not be able to save any patient. I may give a medicine, the medicine to have that right effect has the sanction of Lord has to be there. So like that, we can connect all our acts of kindness with Krishna. Then they are considered they are accepted, they are beneficial to both you as well as to them. Okay, Prabhu?
थैंक यू सो मच प्रभु जी, बहुत बढ़िया।
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. You are on mute, Prabhuji.
Yeah, no, I was just trying to check in the chat box if there are any questions. Vaishnav Mamaji says, Aushadhe Chintaye Vishnu. I think that's a verse. So is it a verse, Mamaji? This is sentence from the verse, or it's an instruction given in Ayurveda?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, this is from Vishnu Stotra. There are like many stotra. Aushadhe Chintaye Vishnu Bhojane Janardanam. So this is for medicine.
Okay. Thank you so much for sharing, Mataji. So there
Yeah, even in Bhagavad Gita also that is there.
yes, Bhagavad
Like
Gita
you
is also
mentioned.
there. Yes, I think
Yeah,
10th.
9:16. 9:16, I believe, and 16th verse of
Okay,
Swadaham
okay.
Amosdam,
Aushadhanam.
where Lord Krishna says that. Yes, yes. And
Yeah.
thank you very much, Prabhuji, for this wonderful session and clearing so many doubts, like which are very practical and that would be beneficial for all of us to understand, to clear our understanding that demigods are to be, they are Vaishnavas to be always, as is always mentioned, that they are to be offered prayers, they are always offered, to be offered respect. But as comes to the devotional service, then we need to upgrade ourselves as per even their instructions are as that only, like in fourth, this Srimad Bhagavatam fourth canto, Lord Shiva is teaching to Prachetas that ultimate goal is to worship Lord Krishna. So, and you here actually in a very practical point took it, because not many people will be knowing and accepting that Lord Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead, and how to deal with all of them, and at the same time how to deal with our own mind to uplift our consciousness. So it was a wonderful blend of that, how to live life Krishna consciously among us, the society which is available by grace of Lord Krishna to us. So thank you very much, Prabhuji. Hare
Thank you so
Krishna.
much,
Dandavat
Ajay, for
Pranam.
questions. I don't see any other questions, so let's close today's session. And next couple of sessions, we'll try to conclude this book, and hopefully, we'll probably have something new coming up, which will let you know. So till then, have a safe week. Do join Japa sessions wherever or daily if possible. Do also join chat sessions, and we can meet next Sunday. Hare Krishna to everyone. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam.
Hare
And
Krishna,
hopefully
Prabhuji.
we'll be
Dandavat
allowed
Pranam, Prabhuji.
in those sessions.
Yeah, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.